Welcome to the University of Manchester's Accommodation Talk. My name is Paul Burns. I'm the manager of the Accommodation Office here at the University of Manchester. And over the next 15 to 20 minutes, I'm going to provide you with the information which I know prospective applicants, their parents and supporters need to know. And the content of this talk is based on the answers to frequently asked questions we've had over the years. The talk is divided into three principal sections. The first part will look at the application process, how you apply for accommodation, what we do with your application, through to how you would accept an offer of accommodation from us. I'll then talk about two of the key things which I think prospective students need to think about, as it will determine both the experience and the price you pay. And those two areas relate to catering, food provision, and bathrooms. And then the final part of the presentation, I'll talk about where our halls are. There'll be a slide with a map to illustrate that. And I'll also talk about cost. The final slide will provide details of how you can contact us if you have further questions or you want further explanation as to things I've said. So let's begin with looking at the application through to acceptance process. The first thing I want to do is highlight through the image you can see on the screen now, our newest and for many people our best hall of residence, although clearly that's a subjective decision or a subjective opinion, I should say. Unsworth Park, our newest hall of residence, opened in Fallowfield 4-5 years ago. It has 1,100 bedrooms. Those 1,100 bedrooms are arranged in flats of 10. Each bedroom is single occupancy. And those 10 bedrooms, each with their own shower, toilet and hand basin, share a common kitchen and dining room area. And collectively, the whole hall has a common room study space known as the Meadow and located in the center of the hall environment. The reason I'm starting with these pictures of our certainly our most popular and our most modern residents is it's really important to understand that those 1,100 rooms were recently, in the last academic year, applied for by over 6,000 students. And I mention that because it's really important that people understand that the demand for some halls is considerably greater than the available rooms, which means obviously that not everyone can get exactly what they want. So although we guarantee to make an offer of accommodation subject to certain criteria and certainly subject to the application being received by the 31st of August of the year of entry, although we guarantee to make an offer, we do not guarantee to make an offer that meets exactly every student's stated preference. So with that in mind, here's some key facts. You need to apply for accommodation online via the University of Manchester's accommodation website, the address for which appears on the final slide. If you do not apply for accommodation, then the accommodation office will not know about you. So the accommodation application is separate to your UCAS application. You can apply for accommodation at the University of Manchester as soon as you have an offer to study. It does not matter whether it's a conditional offer, an unconditional offer, whether it's a firm offer or an insurance offer. That is irrelevant. If you have an offer to study, you can apply online. We allocate, i.e. we appoint you to a room in a hall of residence based on the 5 preferences you put down on your application form. Around about 90% of applicants will get one of their 5 preferences, meaning 10% will be offered another hall of residence that they've not selected. But we allocate and offer typically after A-level results in mid-August. A-level results are usually, in England and Wales, are usually released on the third Thursday of August. And it's after that date that we start making offers. We will allocate and then we will offer by email, and it will go to the email address you've put on your application form. So please make sure that the email address that you're going to be accessing in the middle of August of your year of entry is one which you can access. So please don't use a high school email account, because typically they will have been disabled after your A-level results have been released. So you apply, we allocate, we offer, and then you need to accept the offer. And you've got 4 days to accept it. And at the point of acceptance, you need to make a payment of £400. That £400 is refundable if you don't come to Manchester or if you move into alternative accommodation, and let us know before you do that. And the £400, once paid, is deducted from your first rent instalment due in October, the second being due in January, and the third being due in April. 3 equal rent instalments, with the first one being reduced by the £400 that you've paid at the point of acceptance. And having paid that £400 within 4 days of receipt of the email, and having indicated that you've read and accepted the terms and conditions, at that point, the contract for accommodation is formed. So I said that after discussing this sort of bureaucratic element, I'd look at 2 key areas that I think you should be thinking about. And the first one is catering. And the choice is a binary one about being catered for or catering for yourself. Many people initially feel hesitant about opting for a catered option. However, I would suggest the advantages are or appear in terms of time management, i.e., in those first few months away from home, you do not have to worry about shopping and food prep and washing up, because your breakfast and evening meal is provided for you and it's included in the rent, which also helps with financial management. So time management and financial management are 2 key advantages, I think, of opting for catered accommodation. Breakfast and evening meal is provided in Fallowfield 5 days a week, Monday to Friday, and in Victoria Park 7 days a week. It's the responsibility of residents to provide their own lunch, and in the case of Fallowfield at weekends, to cater for yourself. Catered halls have limited self-catering facilities, so you can cater for yourself at the weekend. You can make yourself lunch or a snack at some other time of the day, but the kitchens are not as good as the kitchens you would expect to find in self-catered accommodation. In addition to the time management and the financial management, 2 sort of really big advantages, another big advantage is socialization. Catered halls are great places to come together with a larger group of people, your flatmates, your corridor mates, your hall mates, to come together and socialize and be exposed to a larger group of people than you might find in a self-catered environment. And this final picture on catering is one that relates. This shows Ashburn Hall dining room, which is an absolutely fantastic hall of residence, a fantastic dining room located in Fallowfield. It really has a great sense of history attached to it. Word of warning, we don't actually set the tables like this unless you're going to get married, which I usually advise against people doing in their first 9 months away from home at university. Something to think about. But catered halls, obviously, the key issue is food. So what does that look like? Well, food is provided over a 4-week rotating menu. So the slide on the screen now shows the menu for week 1. Weeks 2, 3, and 4 are different. Every night there'll be a meat choice, vegetarian option, vegan option, a range of side dishes. There'll be a salad bar. Desserts will be available, and a similarly great selection of food, both vegetarian and non-vegetarian, is available at breakfast. So there's plenty of choice, and I think The key part is the fact that this is all included in the rent. It really does help students who may be worried about budgeting and worried about looking after themselves. But self-catering, of course, is a very attractive option as well. And the key thing about self-catering is it's your responsibility. So you need to buy the food. That's an additional cost on top of your rent. And what the kitchens will look like will vary depending on the number of people sharing them. So the picture on the left here is shows a single hob with 4 rings, beneath which there'll be an oven. There's a fridge freezer to share with the 3 or 4 residents in that flat. And in addition, you'll see a microwave, a toaster, and a kettle. All of the utensils are the responsibility of the residents to provide. Should you live in a larger flat, and the picture on the right of the screen shows a self-catered kitchen in Unsworth Park, then the 10 people sharing that will have more space, an extra oven, an extra hob, more storage space above and below the work surface. And although it's not included in this picture, more cold storage, additional fridge freezers, because there's more people sharing the kitchen. If we've looked at catering and sort of self-catering, the next big thing to look at is bathroom arrangements. And again, it's a rather simple choice between an ensuite. The 2 pictures on the left illustrate what an ensuite toilet looks like, and a shared bathroom. The ensuite will add possibly 60 to 70 pounds a week on the rent. A shared bathroom is not the case. It's definitely a cheaper option. There's some anxiety around sharing bathrooms, certainly pre-arrival, although often that anxiety disappears once people have arrived, seeing that it's actually a secure, safe environment with lockable shower cubicles where you can step in, lock the door, get changed, and then step into the wet room area beyond that. Um, the anxiety people have beforehand, as I say, disappears rapidly when they meet the flatmates, see that it's okay to share, that it's clean, and we provide cleaning in shared bathrooms twice a week. In rooms with ensuite facilities, the responsibility for cleaning that rests solely with the residents. So we've looked at catering and bathrooms. Location is not a key factor in determining the rent we charge in the way that food provision and bathroom arrangements do have an impact on the rent. Some universities will charge a premium, perhaps, if the hall of residence is located particularly close to an academic department, or they may offer a discount for halls that are perceived to be some distance away. As Manchester's university district is a very, very compact area, the location of halls doesn't impact on the rent we charge. Our 3 residential campuses are illustrated on the map here with the 3 different coloured zones. The mauve circles represent the city residential campus, which is in and around the academic campus. The green circle represents Victoria Park, which is a short 20-minute walk south of the main academic campus. And the furthest south you can be from the academic campus is Fallowfield. Approximately 30 to 35-minute walk, 10-minute bus ride, about 4.5 kilometres. It's really, really very, very close. So it's the opinions of which campus is best to live in are very subjective. I couldn't possibly say which one is better. We've got over 2,000 residents living in our halls of residence in the city campus, about 2,000 in Victoria Park, and about 4,000 in Fallowfield. Many students in their 2nd or 3rd year will live in the Fallowfield area in private housing. Many students, if they move into private halls of residence, will find those located in the Victoria Park city area. So there's lots of options beyond just those that we provide. But all 3 areas are easy to get to and from. And as you can see, looking at the map, the city centre lies just at the start of the city centre, lies just at the top of that map, near Piccadilly train station, Oxford Road train station. I should mention about Fallowfield that Fallowfield is currently undergoing a really exciting development, which is part of a broader campus development, and people need to be aware when moving to Fallowfield, if you choose to move to Fallowfield, that there is a lot of construction going on there. However, bringing this talk to a close now, I guess the last thing we need to consider is, and it's coming back to the application, based on some of the things I've said, on some of the research I hope you do yourself, go to our website, use our search feature, use the filters at the top. For most people listening to this talk who I believe will be undergraduates, click the undergraduate filter, look at the bathroom and catering arrangements as I've discussed, and a list of halls will come up which you need to do some reading on. Bearing in mind, of course, the ones that are in Fallowfield, bear in mind the construction that I mentioned that will be going over the next few years. And having selected 5 halls, you need to then apply. And the first thing you need to do is register by providing some details, going through an email verification process, setting up your own password, and then log in, providing your university ID number and the password you've created. And at that point, you will then be able to select the 5 halls of residence and submit your application for accommodation. Wherever you go, things that are included, regardless of how much the rent is, are the utility bills, the personal possessions insurance. There are bike sheds. Every study room, every kitchen, every common area has Wi-Fi. Every hall of residence has really fantastic support provided by the Res Life team, who are there to help in both the good times and the bad times. The Res Life team are postgraduate students who live in hall and in turn are managed by professional managers who also live in hall and are there to provide support. But the key thing I want to finish on really is clearly there's going to be a difference based on the quality of the halls, the facilities provided, and those differences across we've got 8,500 bedrooms. We have numerous price points which can't all possibly be shown on one slide. So to give some illustration, our cheapest accommodation for the academic year 24-25 will be about £113 a week for 41 weeks in Oak House in Fallowfield. Oak House is a self-catered hall with shared bathrooms, and that 41 weeks sees a contract that starts in September end in late June. There's no requirement to vacate it at Christmas or Easter. That's about £113 a week. When you go to the self-catered ensuite option, then there's quite a hike in price and quite a variance as well, from £180 to £250, where you see the higher end prices, so the £250 a region, they will typically be halls of residence that we've leased from the private sector, and the price we charge you is the price the private companies are charging us. We do not add a penny onto those rents. We will simply charge you what they charge us. Do not assume that a hall that is at £250 must, by some considerable measure, be better than a hall that's at £200 a week. They're not. They're just the prices we are being charged and we pass on. So there's some variance there. Again, most of those contracts are 41 weeks. In some instances, though, they are 42 weeks. But in all instances, when you move in September, it's your room till the end of the contract in late June, early July. In between those bands, as it were, the cheapest self-catered at Oak House and the more expensive self-catered ensuite, we find the catered option ranging from £164 to £227 a week for 41-week contracts. And the difference in price there is determined by the bathroom arrangements, and also in Victoria Park, the fact that catering is provided at the weekends. The catered halls in Victoria Park will be more expensive than the catered halls in Fallowfield. So you need to do some research to look at the particular differences between the many halls of residence that we've got. I hope that's provided an indication of what we have, how you go about applying for it, and the costs involved, and some of the things you should be thinking about. If you have more questions that we've not been able to answer today, then do take a look at our website. or, of course, feel free to write to us. Our email address is on the slide. Please, when you write to us, try to include your university ID number. That's an 8-digit number that you'll find on your offer email. That will just help us to locate your record and provide the best possible advice. I hope this has been useful. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'll now close the slide.